After I'd done my 60-second pitch, was like, "Are you sure anyone in this room has a clue of what you do?" And my answer was kind of, "No, I'm not really sure." So this is kind of an explanation of that, and telling the story of where we've been in the last, what is it now, 18 months, almost 2 years. Well, 18 months, which I thought would be more fun than just telling you about the back end of a website. So just starting with, as Pete said, we'd done quite well. We picked up 3 county shows. We had the Royal Berkshire County show, we had Surrey and Hertfordshire, and we were doing these fantastic network events that, sorry, Pete, we had cocktail party booked at Highclere Castle, with a presentation by the owners. We just at the beginning of March, we did tractor and combine harvester driving in Hertfordshire. So we had loads of corporate clients coming in to sponsor the show, and they got to drive tractors, so things were going really well. And then I just found one cartoon. I've got endless ones from WhatsApp, but along came Mr. COVID, and everyone thought it was going to be a month, maybe 2. It'll be over by May, sort of thing. So we thought we'd hang on to the Berkshire show, which was in September. But within the space of about 12 hours, we lost all 3. Our biggest other client was Hotel Group Intercontinental. They switched off immediately. So we essentially lost all the business overnight. First action was to go home via the pub. The only fags I could get hold of were Marlborough Reds, so that killed my throat. But a few pints of Stella, quite a few tears, actually, I think, for both Rue and I. It hurt quite a lot because we built it up over a couple of years. But then the realization that you've kind of got to get on with it. So I went home and thought, what can we do about this? We had a certain skill set. Rue had been in e-commerce for 10 years, selling dog beds and stuff. And I'd worked in digital marketing for 10 years before that as well. So we thought, what can we do? There's not really much business we can pick up. So we thought we'd help the local area. So we literally turned up the next morning and thought, right, we can build something for, within 15 miles of where we lived. And we called it Local Shops to You. And we built it on Shopify, and it meant that anyone in the local area who wanted to carry on selling stuff, but obviously with restrictions, they couldn't open shops, have their shops open, stuff like that. We put it on the website. We charged a nominal fee of about, I think, between 2.5% and 5% to cover the costs. But we had pubs, wine merchants, coffee manufacturers, loads of different people selling stuff on there. We sold about £1,000 worth of masks. We did 2.5 grand worth of fish out of the local pub. And it was quite nice for me because it got me out of the house. I was allowed to go and deliver stuff. And this is me and the landlord of the Font Mill down the road from me, selling fish. And I used my wife's Volvo to do it. So that blue bag had a hole in the bottom. It absolutely stank after a couple of weeks of doing that. But it was quite nice going around and delivering stuff to the local area, particularly people who are isolating. We did the normal stuff, jigsaw puzzles, nice Trevi fountain. I learned to make biltong, which, if you want to know how to do that in just your grill, you put a matchstick through the top of the bit of meat and hang it between your grill bars, and leave it for 24 hours on the lowest fan heat. Amazing. I'm just sort of doing the personal bit as well as the business bit here. So I've always wanted to do sailing. So I did the day skipper online, which involved sitting in my hammock. The stress was quite heavy, knowing there's no income coming in. We all went through the same thing, but the hair did fantastic things. It's worth saying the mental health bit of it. I had weird feelings all the time and just went through a whole NHS thing of testing and stuff like that, which they do, which is amazing. And it turned out it's just anxiety. And I say just anxiety, but it was pretty horrible. But to know what it was, so cut the hair off. Some of the fun things that happened and how we get to where we are today, we had the local shops things going, which was quite complicated because we had, I think, 30 or 40 different shops selling stuff on our website. One night I'd had a few too many beers and I got a phone call from what I would call a battle axe, but a very bossy lady from Tisbury, which is the local town to us here, who was running the Tisbury volunteer group, and they had 200 volunteers. And I think 60% of the local area had to isolate because it's a very sort of aged area, as it were. That's a polite way of saying it. And she said, right, I understand you know how to feed the isolators. And I had no idea what she's talking about. And I was kind of like, hey, I can sort of do some things. And she basically dumped on me the whole thing of putting together survival boxes for people isolating. I eat crap food, so I have no idea what people need to survive. So I had to sort of get some help from various friends or whatever, but we had to put together these packages, boxes of food, source where it was coming from, because I think sort of up until about July, supermarkets didn't deliver around here because we're so remote. So we started a delivery box service, and in with that, we had volunteers on the phones, and they needed a way of putting orders through because they didn't have any funding for the boxes. So we built on Shopify an order system so they could take orders over the phone. We had to find storage. We had to get, who was going to supply the stuff, and loads of volunteers to deliver it. So that was quite exciting, but it was sort of a challenge of how to build it. Some of the great things that happened out of that were the guy who was helping me with the operational side of it was head of operations for IKEA, which was quite extraordinary. He lives a couple of miles down the road. Really amazing guy to talk to, and so above my level. But he did all these diagrams and stuff, which was really cool. Our head of health and safety was a professor from Porton Down. So that was quite cool because Porton Down's not far from here. So for me, it was an amazing opportunity to deal with some really high-end people who taught me loads of stuff. Another local pub. I like my pubs. I know quite a few landlords. I play football with this guy who owns the Compasses in Chicksgrove. Amazing pub. Obviously, business shut overnight. Wants to be able to do click and collect. Had a sort of outdated WordPress site. Gave me a call and I said, we can sort this out for you. And we did it. He had no money, so I've just got the payback. I spent the night there and free dinner about 2 weeks ago with the wife. But we built a click and collect system on his current WordPress site. Took us about a week or two to work out how to do it, but I think he did about 24 grand in 3 months, just out the front door every evening. So he's, eternally grateful for that. Again, it taught us how to use a new platform and how to do e-commerce on it. The dogs thing, which you probably know about, I'm surrounded by food and dog beds here. But Dogs is a website we built about 3 years ago for a client who makes dog beds. And once we built it, he said, actually, I don't want it. Do you guys want to run it? So we ran it as a sort of testing shop. So we could show people how Shopify worked and we could try stuff. As you know, middle of last year, everyone bought a dog. So we thought, well, let's put a couple of quid on advertising, and off it went. And it was drop ship at the time, which means the manufacturer sends out the dog beds. We didn't have any stock. The margin's not big enough, particularly if you're advertising. It's a highly competitive market. So we moved from the office on the left. Quite amazing. My 17-year-old son actually did some hoovering. He's a big lad. I'm going to show him that photo later. But so we had a tiny office across the courtyard here. And so towards the end of last year, we moved to the top right. It's about 1,500 square foot. We started getting dog beds in. And the bottom picture on the right, if you can see that, that is kind of sort of last week. We had 25 of those big boxes turn up yesterday while I wasn't here, which is great. So we're absolutely rammed full of stuff, which is quite exciting. So our e-commerce sort of journey has gone from drop shipping and just testing stuff to actually the whole thing, DHL turn up every day. And our ambition is actually to fill a DHL van in one day, which I think we'll get to hopefully in the end of this month, maybe around Black Friday. Still not really making any money, but we started to get some good contacts in. As a result of the local shops thing, I delivered fish to a guy who I used to be an account manager for. And he runs a company called Ergonomics in Poole, which is actually a massive company. And he wanted me to move them from a different platform to Shopify. And I said no. And he kept coming back. And because he trusted us, because he saw what we did with the volunteering sort of stuff we were doing. So we did it, and we built him a new website, and he gave us loads of stuff. So we've got amazing stand-up desks with lots of screens and things. But it was a big project, and it was of high value, so it was really exciting. And then you got to sort of October, November, and suddenly everything shut down again. And we had a really good pipeline, and bang, gone again. So we sort of struggled through a bit of furlough help with that bit. And then January 1st, we were getting up and thinking, I know I've got to go swimming in the sea. And it was bloody freezing. It was -4, I think, outside. And it was the roads were too icy here in Dorset to actually get to any of the beaches I liked. So I drove down to Weymouth, which is the only place with like a main road the whole way, de-iced. And I woke up and I thought, God, got to, if I don't do this, it's going to be a shit year. So off I todded, and yeah, bloody cold swim. I did it 3 days in a row. Took the wife on the third one down at Ringstead Bay, and the sun was shining. Amazing. Well worth doing if you need a pick me up. Gets the body firing incredibly. You come out with a glow. As long as you've got a hot drink, you can stay alive. So second lockdown, I think, or is it third? Is the beginning of this year. We started getting contacts again from people who've seen what we've done. So local deli to us here in Tisbury again. We built them a click and collect website, which went really well. Another local deli. So we've actually done all the delis within about 10 areas of us now. But this one's slightly more complicated. They have a bed and breakfast above their deli. So matching up Shopify with Avivo, which is an accommodation booking platform, and the ability to book tables and stuff like that for lunch. I'd like to think we sort of ensured survival for quite a lot of businesses. Finishing off the sailing thing towards the end of the last lockdown we had, I actually did the practical of the day skipper, which was great fun. Did it with 4 friends. And I have to say, it was like going on a stag night every night. It was the sort of first time we were out in Hamble, Cowes, Yarmouth. Epic fun and quite a nice reward. Charities suffered a lot over COVID. So some friends of ours have a really ill child who nearly died last year of epilepsy. So we decided to do a challenge, and it was cross-channel paddleboarding. But because of the restrictions, you couldn't get across to France. So we did as far as the French shipping lane. Really foggy day, but we did, I think, 14.5 miles, which is the distance across the channel. Bloody hard to paddle in choppy waters. It looks flat there, but it's sort of 2-3 foot waves. But really good fun. And we raised £7.5 for epilepsy action, which they were really happy about. Just a bit of human tragedy. We've all been suffering with COVID and stuff, but I've been across the channel twice this year, and both times I've seen this. We had to wait around a couple of weeks ago. Immigrants, you can see they've not got any life jackets on, and they were just going round and round outside Dungeness. So we waited there for HMS Valiant to come charging through and pick them up. But there's a lot going on in the world that we've been hidden from because of all the news. The latest venture, again, because of what we're doing with the local shops, a guy I've known for years, he's in the food business, and he said he wants to set something up, and it's called The Ethical Trader. And we had these 2 pallets arrive. I'm surrounded by them now, but tons of delicious snacks and drinks. And we kicked off a couple of weeks ago. So if you like delicious Ciela and candy kittens and stuff like that, you know where to go. But again, building a very large website with a big product line and subscription service, so you can do monthly subscriptions. So everything we've been doing has been growing and getting more and more complicated. So we're just learning along the way. I think the biggest sales pitch for us currently, dogs is working at 3.6% conversion rate. Do you know what your conversion rate is on your website? If you don't, find out, because everything we do is about upping that conversion rate. Every little point you can get up, you make that much more money for the traffic you're driving there. So what have we learned over the journey? Optimizing everything. Just back to the e-commerce side, I thought I'd just tail off with that. How am I doing for time, Pete? So I've got no clock. Cool, can't hear you. Right, so optimize your website, getting it to perform, optimize everything. We've just spent the whole last 18 months just tweaking dogs to try and get it better and better and better. Once you've tried a plugin or an app on your website, get rid of it, get rid of the code in the background. Never stop testing stuff. We keep testing. We've tried about 5 or 6 live chat apps. We've tried different delivery options, and all trying to, up that conversion rate. Don't make changes to your website on Black Friday. We call it Grey Thursday now, but last year we tried a new plugin as a size guide, and it blew up our website over the Black Friday weekend. So you live and you learn. Think of the customer all the time, making the checkout quick and easy. If you want to use Shopify, it's got some fantastic, simple things that just make stuff easy. Don't try and be too clever. We basically look at Amazon all the time, eBay and stuff like that, and just see what works. Use the speed check tools to check your website, because speed is everything. So these are the kind of things we've got going on, and our central agency, We Are Chain, is all built around the fact we try and test everything with these websites, and we can then feedback that information to our clients. But we're building up, you know, we've got fingers in many pies because we felt COVID absolutely chopped us off at the knees because we only had one thing going on. So that is kind of where we get to now. That is the end of my presentation.
Absolutely bloody awesome.
Brilliant. Very, very inspiring.
Incredible. Can you do me a favour, mate, and stop sharing your screen?